paragliding, camera settings, camera setup. That's exactly what we're talking about today. Welcome to Addiction Happiness, guys. It's so great to see you here. Now let's dive straight in. In paragliding, there's so much going on already. You know, we have a lot of equipment, a lot of gear, there's weather factor, actually a lot of things that we have to take care of. So dealing with cameras and all the mounts is not our main thing. However, it's always great to capture some cool angles, some cool perspectives, and it's totally doable if you know a few little tips and tricks that we're gonna talk about in today's video. So if you focus on cameras in paragliding, when I'm flying and capturing videos, I wanna have camera that's really easy to use, compact, reliable, and it's giving me a lot of nice mounting options without too much complications. Okay, so normally you have classic action camera and then you have 360 camera. But what I have here is this modular Insta360 1RS camera, which allows you to have classic action camera and 360 camera all in one. So there's no more complications. Which camera should you choose? Which camera should you get? You know, no more multiple camera problems, because there you have all in one. Okay, so with this one, you just pick whichever lens you want and then clip it on to this core with the screen, and then bam, put the battery on and you're good to go, just like that. Now let me just show you if you want to change from that classic 4K lens mode to 360 lens mode. So you want to take that core with the screen and just attach 360 lens mode on. Bam, put on battery and you're good to go. You have 360 camera. Why this is so good is because this is all you need, and you have classic full 4K quality action camera with even higher specs, and at the same time you have 360 camera, which is so great for some of these angles, epic paragliding angles that I'm gonna talk about in a moment. Now let's talk about classic action camera settings. Whichever camera you're using, is it Insta360, is it GoPro, whatever, you want to use settings that will capture as much as possible, which means capture your videos in 4K if that's possible, and use as wide field of view as possible. One great thing about this Insta360 camera is that you can always change field of view in app. So if your video is already recorded, no problem, you can just change field of view at any time, and that's really amazing. Better that you capture more and you can always crop in, then, you know, don't limit yourself, just capture in as wide mode as possible, whichever camera you're using. There's always a lot of settings on these action cameras, like white balance, shutter speed, things like that, but this is all, you don't have to mess with these things. It's just for fine-tuning your image quality, which is, you know, not necessary. If you just let the camera do its job, it's gonna be just fine in most cases. So just make sure you pick highest image quality possible with high bit rate, right? This is something you wanna pay attention to. If you use your action camera on chasecam, like with these classic lenses, classic 4K stuff, then you wanna use that horizon leveling thing, because, you know, when you're flying, there's a lot of like tilting, a lot of movement, so especially with mounts like chasecam. So in that case, this horizon leveling is a good trick that will help you get really stable and smooth horizon leveled footage. So yeah, this is something that I really like to use, especially on chasecam. Now here's the interesting part. This is by far the most like all around camera setup that you can have. It's actually 360 camera. With this one, bam, stick it in your case and you can mount it on your helmet, to your chasecam, selfie stick, millions of options. There's also a video about different mounts on this channel. make sure you go check it out. Why I think this 360 camera is the best for paragliding is because you can simply mount it on your helmet and forget about it. You can edit, reframe your angle easily later on when editing. We're gonna talk about that in a moment. But yeah, you can adjust your angle later on if you're using it on chasecam, helmet, selfie stick, whatever. Put it on, record, that's it. Just fly, enjoy your flight, and you can reposition your angle later on in editing. So yeah, this is why I think this is the best option, because you don't have to stress about angle, framing, what's in the frame, what's not in the frame, all this stuff. It's just you capture everything. So yeah, whichever mount you're using with your 360 camera, you want to make sure that your 360 camera is mounted straight on to the mount. So like this, not like this, not like this, but straight on. When you're mounting your camera to chasecam, if it's 360 camera, you want to mount it like this, straight on. Don't do this, because that way the stitching will be bad. 360 camera is always mounted like this if you want perfect stitching, nice, usable angle. So yeah, that's it. For the helmet, same story. Bam, mount it on like this, straight. That's it. Don't mount it like this, whatever. Just that's it. Straight on like this. Now let's talk about settings for your 360 camera for paragliding. Obviously, you want to use again highest possible quality. Just stick with this highest setting possible, and again, bitrate highest possible, whichever camera you're using. Also this white balance, shutter speed, and all this stuff, just leave it as it is. One more thing is color profile. So a lot of these action cameras will have options to choose color settings, like the raw colors, like flat color profile, which is pretty much raw video without too much colors to it. And this is if you want to do color grading later on when editing. If not, leave that to the camera settings, you know, like the Insta360 color profile, GoPro color profile, whatever you're using. Now let's dive into some editing tricks. Editing time. So now you have your footage and it's time to edit it. You can edit your footage on your phone, in app editing apps, or on computer. Now for today's example, let's just use computer, but keep in mind that all the tips, tricks, and idea about editing is the same, whether you're editing in app on phone or on computer. So for today's example, I'm gonna edit in Insta360 Studio. Now, whichever camera you're using or whichever program you're using, you can follow up this process, these tips, tricks, because the idea is the same everywhere. So first thing you want to do is import your video to your program. Right here we are using Insta360 Studio, and I have some 360 sample footage. Alright, so you have your video in, you can just scroll through down there on the timeline. So main thing when editing 360 videos, you want to reframe that, and first thing you want to do is select reframing option. That's key thing when editing 360 videos. You want to reframe that, and when you select that, you can now move around with your mouse, change perspective, change view. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can go all the way out. So yeah, basically you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can move around just by using your mouse. Move around. And here is one really important thing when editing 360 videos. You want to keep your horizon line straight. So you don't want to have video like this when it's all deformed, or video like this. That's horrible. A lot of times you're gonna see videos like this when it's all curved. That's horrible. So what you want to do is keep your horizon line straight, right? Just like that. And also don't go out too much, because if you go out too much, you can see right here on the edges, video is very curved, very deformed, and you don't want that. It's not looking good. So you want to zoom in and keep horizon lines straight and find perspective that looks natural. So something like this. You can always zoom in even more, zoom out, and yeah, you can play around with that as much as you want. For example, you can keep just your glider in the frame if that's something you want, just like that. Or just yourself. Or move it completely around and just have some nice landscape. So this is reframing. That's really cool. Now let's say you change perspective and now you wanna have angle like this. What you wanna do, really important, is mark your keyframe. Bam, drop keyframe right here. And what that does, this saves your position so your angle stays like that. Now let's say you want different angle and you change that, bam, just like that, so it's just like wing. What you have to do is drop another keyframe. So every time you move your angle around, you wanna add new keyframe, just like that. If you press in the middle between two keyframes, you can select fade in, fade out options, everything, or just nothing and keep it raw. So this will smoothen out your transition from one camera movement to another. All right, another cool thing that we have in this Insta360 Studio is tracking, deep track. You select that, now drag this little box around target that you want to track and start tracking. Now program will track your target throughout the entire video and just follow its motion. That follow motion deep tracking is really nice for paragliding videos like this because it's gonna keep you in the center of frame all the time, which is really great. Okay, another thing that I want to show you is time shift. You select this and then simply select area that you want to speed up, just like that. Press on this and select how fast you want this part to be. Bam, just like that. And now you have this cool speed up time shift. All right, let's say you wanna trim your video, you can do that right here, bam. So you just have trimmed selection of what you want, right? So this is how you trim your video so it's not too long before you export it. Right here you can see ratio, so you can have 1:1, you can have vertical videos or just classic view and some other options. Right here you can select and make a screenshot, bam, if you want to grab some images out of your video. And then here at the side you will have file properties, so it's actually information about your video. You can see quality, bitrate, all that. Let's go up here to stabilization type. The great thing about this software and Insta360 cameras is that you have option to turn on and off your stabilization, lock your direction, bam. If we move down, you have stitching options. So right here you can select different stitching options if you're using lens guards or any cases, things like that. Down there you have color plus, which will boost your colors and make it look nice, just like that. Or you can also play around with audio and change voice focus if you're talking to camera, or noise reduction, which is pretty nice when you're flying. Alright, so that's pretty much all you have to know to make some nice looking videos. When you're done, you want to export your edit, simply go down there, press that button, bam, and you can change your file name, destination, set your bitrate to whatever you recorded in camera, so 100 for example, your resolution, encoding, I usually just leave that as it is. You can also select to remove grain from your video if you feel that's necessary, and then simply press start export. Bam. Now keep in mind that if you are editing on phone in apps, these apps will usually have way more effects and features that you can use and play around with. So make sure you check out apps as well, and we will cover some editing in apps in some future videos. Next time I'm gonna show you free editing software for all your paragliding videos. It's super epic. You don't want to miss that one out. Make sure you also check out some other videos on this channel. You can also join behind the scenes on Patreon page. Link is in the description down below. Check out this cool camera. I've linked it down below. There are some special deals running right now. Go check it out. Also, drop some comments, smash that like button, and as always, guys, as always, stay addicted to happiness.